Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pager here, and this is going to be my review for the pilot episode for The Flash. So Season 1, Episode 1, and boy, I'm pretty damn excited. Wait. Sorry, just affected by the alignment there. Sorry, this is the review for Episode 22 of The Flash Season 4. Sorry, we just got a bit confused there. See, this device is still working. Anyway, let's just move on. That was a really terrible opening joke. So obviously, yeah, review for episode 22 of this season, season 4. Obviously, if you have not watched the episode, don't continue on with this video. Spoilers, but why would you click on a review if you've not watched the episode? So let's just move on from there. But yeah, if you're going to enjoy this video, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support, especially seeing it's the second last episode for this season, The Flash. Finale next week. Hype levels are pretty high. And yeah, so leave all your opinions in the comment section down below as well. What was your favourite part of the episode? What didn't you like too much? Just leave all of your thoughts down there in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So last week was that like typical filler episode that we always get in towards the end of The Flash. So it's either in the second last episode or the third last episode. It's one of the two. It's that typical filler episode. But it sort of gave us one thing that they use in this finale, and that is the whole thing about amulet shards. You can use them to destroy Devo satellites. So yeah, I guess it had some Killer Frost stuff in there, but in regards to like the whole main story of the season, it was really minimal in regards to its relevance. So we really don't have to talk about it that much. But we opened this episode with Diggle showing up, and we knew Diggle was in this episode, but we didn't really know like how he was going to work into the episode, apart from maybe some Argus stuff. But it's pretty cool. We see DeVoe impersonating Diggle. You could tell straight away it was DeVoe impersonating Diggle. There wasn't really vague or subtle or anything. Like, you could straight up tell that was DeVoe, just like the way he was talking and the certain terms he was using. But man, that scene that followed, that hallway scene, favorite scene of the season. Some of you guys might have a more favorite scene, maybe like Barry when in the Enter Flash Time episode, you know, going to the Speed Force, coming out, that thing. But that for me was so awesome. It just displayed how overpowered DeVoe is. All of his powers in basically on display, I think, pretty much. Yeah, for the most part, I think most of them, if not all of them, were on display, which was really cool to see. What is it with the CW and having those awesome, or at least the CW DC shows, having those awesome hallway fight sequences? Arrow's had a handful. Like, I guess Flash had one in season 2, you know, that one where Zoom's chasing Harry through Star Labs. That's another cool one. I'm sure Legends has had one as well. Can't remember any off the top of my head. But yeah, the CW DC shows really love a cool hallway sequence, and this definitely added to it. I wonder if it's up there as the best. Let me know in the comments. Now, some people were asking me when like the Argus soldiers sort of like rose and were fighting each other, what power that was of DeVoe's. My understanding is they were all dead, or most of them were dead, and what DeVoe also obviously has the powers from Black Bison, and Black Bison's powers are to control inanimate objects, and technically a dead body is inanimate because it's not alive. So I'm guessing that's how they came back to life and were almost acting like zombies. That's my understanding of it. If anyone else wants to explain what other ability it might have been from one of the bus metahumans, let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure it's Black Bison's ability to control the inanimate things that led to those soldiers coming back to life. That's my understanding though. Now we had the psychiatrist come back in, and the psychiatrist is just one of those things to like quickly explain something in a short amount of time. That just doesn't seem it random popping up between, say if like Caitlin spoke to Cisco or Caitlin spoke to Iris or Barry or something like that. The psychiatrist is just like a means to like quickly go over something. So I understand why they brought her into the episode. Later, as well, that was after we saw some stuff towards the end. If that was it, I would have been annoyed because it would have been like, that was really lazy writing, just having that quickly in there. But I think for stuff that happened later in the episode, it made sense. But we'll get to that stuff later on because it's one of the bigger reveals that we'll talk about later. Obviously, we do see the real Diggle showing up, and it's basically just to confirm some stuff and just sort some things out. And of course, I did ask in the trailer breakdown, or was it my promo images video, one of the two, we were asking whether Diggle was going to throw up, and there seemed to be, it was about a 50-50 split, to be completely honest. It was neck and neck. We had the non-throwing up people hacking the throwing up people, doxing them, sending them fake emails and stuff in the mail. It was insane. It was a civil war. It was Diggle throwing up civil war. I can't believe how like fiery and intense it got. But Diggle throwing up team, you won. Diggle threw up in the bin. He won, so let's just settle that. Let's just all be nice and calm now. The war is over. It's all been solved. Now we saw DeVoe obviously going to Argus, and he goes to Fallout or Neil Borman because that's where he was, and he sends him into Critical, and essentially Team Flash has around 12 hours. It wasn't 12 hours exactly, but around 12 hours to sort all of that out before DeVoe launches his satellites and commences the Enlightenment. So yeah, literally the clock was ticking. Now, one thing I like that they actually confirmed in this episode, because I don't think they confirmed in an episode previously, like Joe confirms that he knows that Wally is on the wave, right, or that he's traveling around time. I was like, well, thank God you confirmed that, because people have been waiting multiple episodes for you at least to just acknowledge that Wally is on the Wave Rider, or at least acknowledge that Wally actually told his family that he was going on the Wave Rider or not. So it's good that they actually finally confirmed that. Now, Cecile was becoming like Surfer Dude, like Tubular and Chovies and Pineapple, or whatever she was talking about, like chucking those terms out and stuff like that. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? But then the pizza dude showed up and I thought, okay, maybe she was trying to read Joe's mind and accidentally read that dude's mind. So I thought that's what happened. But obviously, as they find out, her like powers are intensifying. I'm pretty sure the term they used was, or was it like inhabiting? She was instead of like her powers were growing, but instead of like just reading minds, she ended up inhabiting people's minds instead. So the pizza delivery dude and all the terms he was using. Then also Joe throughout the episode, and also Caitlin as well. So I think that's set up for the finale, and a lot of people have complained that Cecile is like a plot device for the most part, almost, I guess, sometimes similar to what Iris is used as, but I think literally she is like the full definition of a plot device. She shows up, does things just to further the plot and make things happen. And I did see the promo for next week quickly, and one of the shots I saw was Cecile with the cerebral inhibitor on her. So I'm guessing they're just going to use that and trying to inhabit DeVoe's mind and get what he's thinking, and possibly a way to stop the Enlightenment and stuff like that. So, plot device, but it was fun, I guess. Now, the stuff that we knew was going to be happening in this episode, as we saw from the trailer, was Caitlin and Cisco entering Flash time with Barry, surrounding them in lightning, and they can use their abilities. Obviously, there was some fails in the whole testing process, but for the most part, it works towards the end. And it was it was another piece in the story of Caitlin throughout this episode, where we saw a flashback of her getting hit by a car. But once again, we'll talk about that towards the end of the video. Now, one of the other big moments in this episode, one of the other big plot lines, if you want to call it, for this episode to lead into the finale, was Harry wanting to recruit Marlize, and basically Harry and Iris' interactions, and Iris being like firmly against that, and just, because she just thinks that Marlize is essentially psycho. One of the things that sort of made me go, that's not right, was when Iris said, Marlize stabbed me. And I was like, didn't you stab yourself? I'm pretty sure you stabbed her yourself, so then you could like punch Marlize because she was too far away. So you stabbed yourself to punch her. I'm pretty sure that's what happened at least. But I think obviously that's not Iris' fault. That's just the writing fault. West Allen fans, I'm sorry. I'll bow down to you. Just don't attack me. Just leave me alone for a bit. Now, one of the better conflict parts in this episode was definitely between Barry and Cisco. We got a hint at that in the trailer. This conflict only like literally a 2-second segment or something. But that conversation was really good. Once again, it's showing... I understand on Barry's side why he's doing it, because obviously the whole Ralph situation, they basically fully explained that in the episode. Like, Barry doesn't want to risk any more of his friends' lives after what happened with Ralph. He basically wants to do it solo. But on Cisco was right in that situation. Like, what's the point of being called Team Flash when the Flash is the only person that does anything? You know what I mean? You got Cisco and Caitlin. Cisco can stop Barry if you want. Cisco is technically more powerful than Barry because Cisco can negate Barry's powers. So keeping him out of it, I can understand Caitlin because of what's going on with her, but just not involving them and Barry being a bit almost ignorant to what's going on and the fact that everyone should be trying to help because what's going to happen is a massive risk with the Enlightenment. It just seemed like Barry wasn't thinking that, everything through that much. But I still like that conflict, and at least it was resolved in a pretty good way throughout this episode. Now, I did see some people getting sort of annoyed that Iris went to get Marlize. I guess it was Iris and Harry, but, mainly Iris because that was what was set up in that scene with the breach thing, whatever it's called, that Supergirl also has. And people are asking, why doesn't Barry go? He could just run around. Because Barry had to train the team, you know what I mean? Even if he went and it took him like a minute to get Marlize, convince her and come back or something like that, it's still time off training that between him and between Cisco, Caitlin, and himself. And Iris literally does nothing. So like just giving her to say, Iris, do this, please, just do something. That's good. I don't mind that. It actually gives her something to do. And I think they want to try and keep Marlies and Iris as the people sharing scenes because of their conflict this season, and obviously them resolving that in the finale. So I think that was the right way to go. The assault on Argus, as I'm calling it, was pretty good, even though is it an assault on Argus or like a rescue on Argus? I just felt like saying assault on Argus because it's like assault on Arkham. But the assault on Argus was pretty cool, saving those the Argus soldiers and stuff using flash time. I thought was pretty cool. And quick sequence, but pretty cool at the same but still cool at the same time. Now we thought that Barry had completely failed when DeVoe launches their satellites, but of course he has those little segment things from last episode with from Amunet Black, might I say. So at least something from last episode was still relevant. He throws one and actually destroys one of the satellites. You might be wondering, I did see some people, saying like, oh, why did you destroy one satellite? And you got to realize it's because it was like a relay thing. All needed to be there for it to work, for this whole alignment thing to completely work. So yeah, all of them had to be there. But obviously things didn't go to plan with that, but we'll talk about that towards the end. But following this, DeVoe and Barry's talk, I thought was great. I've really liked DeVoe this season, especially when he's come out of his shell and he's just been a bit more ruthless. I've really enjoyed DeVoe when he's like that. And that conversation between himself and Barry was great because once again, I've talked about this in previous videos, DeVoe, like the best villains, like a villain should always be the hero of their own story, but sometimes villains aren't portrayed that way. Villains are just sometimes like mustache twirlers and just typical like cliche villains like that and not very well written. But DeVoe is a person who thinks what he is doing is the right thing to do. He thinks he is literally the hero of his own story, and what he is doing is like benefiting mankind and everything like that, like erasing poverty, making people curious again by getting phones out there, ending nuclear warfare, all of that. But, he's ruining the closer things like human interaction and stuff like that. And he doesn't realize that, but Barry doesn't. Barry tries to get that across. DeVoe's just not for it completely, isn't he? He just doesn't care. And I think I said this like maybe 3 episodes ago, but like DeVoe has a lot of knowledge. He's a very knowledgeable person, but he's not a very wise person. While Barry is very knowledgeable and wise, he has both knowledge and wisdom, and obviously DeVoe lacks the wisdom, and I think that's actually what's going to end up taking him down, is him not being that wise. But one of the biggest reveals in this episode, and I think one of the biggest reveals of the season, is the whole thing around Caitlin. And when we get vibed to that car crash incident, which we got a hint at earlier in the Flash time training, and we're like, okay, what's going to happen here? I thought we were going to see Caitlin's father maybe, and it was going to be a setup for maybe him showing up next season, which it could still be. It could still be that. But what we see is that it's young Caitlin and it's young Killer Frost. It's like Kidder Frost, if you want to call it. Or Children Frost. No, Kidder Frost is better. What was I thinking with that second one? Kidder Frost is much better. So yeah, young Killer Frost. It's always been within her. So this is obviously much earlier than the particle accelerator incident. That's not what gave her powers. So my guess is we're not going to probably see that next episode. They might leave that till season 5. But that's a massive revelation to, because we all thought, okay, the particle accelerator gave it to her, and it was just one of the things that, it bided its time for it to, pop out and go, hello, I'm Killer Frost, and all of that. But it's been within her the whole time. So I'm really interested to see if her father is someone like Icicle or Icicle Senior from the comics or something like that. That'd be pretty cool if they interwove that, because they do bring up her father's death and stuff like that. So massive reveal. Excited to see where that goes, and I really wasn't expecting it, to be completely honest. Obviously, we do see Marlies recruited, which is going to lead into the finale. We all knew that was happening. As we all know, Marlies is going to be helping Team Flash take down DeVoe. We knew that like a couple of weeks ago, so that isn't too big of a surprise. So I didn't really care too much for that interaction because I knew what the outcome was, so yeah. But obviously the big cliffhanger moment, which is what we talked about in the trailer breakdown and probably the promo images and some other stuff, other videos we did, leading up to this episode. That is DeVoe launching the alignment. It was actually pretty awesome because I wasn't really expecting it, but it was awesome seeing DeVoe get into Star Labs using the Time Vault, using Gideon. Obviously he had the Dark Matter, which he had previously. I was wondering what they were going to do with that, and he uses all of that and uses the Star Labs satellite. Insane. I thought that was really cool, and now the Enlightenment is launched, and I cannot wait to see the fallout from it. maybe pun intended there because they use Fallout to power it. But yeah, seeing the fallout from all of that next week in the finale, I've enjoyed, the back half of this season. I know a lot of people haven't enjoyed season 4. People complain about it all the time. For the most part, I've enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it much more than season 3 because honestly, I just got over season 3 really quickly. I thought it was really dry. But, if you said you didn't enjoy this episode, you haven't enjoyed the lead up to this finale, maybe apart from last episode, I can understand that. Then I just don't think you really like the show, to be completely honest, because I think it's been brilliant the past couple of weeks. Like, I understand people can have opinions, but I just don't think there's much room to complain about what they're going for in this season. I think it's great, and I can't wait to see the fallout and the complete end and all the wrapping up of it in the finale. I'm really excited, and obviously I'll have my trailer breakdown out for that in the next 12 hours. I don't know, next X amount of hours from now, whenever you're watching this video. So look out for that. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on this episode. What you like, what didn't you like too much? Just leave all of that downstairs in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.